Hello, it is Lorraine Appleyard here, and thank you very much for joining me. In this discussion, we're going to talk a little bit about some of the blocks that you may get in the development of your psychic senses. We also can refer to this as your extrasensory development, or what is commonly known as ESP. In the early stages of our psychic development, we often will have blocks that will just impede our progress. And there are three major blocks that people typically have. One of them is simply disbelief. If you have disbelief that you have any psychic abilities, any ESP abilities, it is going to act as a block. Now, I always believe in having a healthy amount of skepticism with anything with respect to spiritual development. However, an outright skeptic mind or closed mind will not experience anything. So if you have an absolute disbelief in the spiritual development and ESP, then it is simply going to act as a block. Another block that is common is fear and the tension that comes as a result of fear. Now, I like to use fear, spell it as an acronym with the FEAR capitalized, standing for false evidence appearing to be real. And I find that most of our fears are simply just not real, not true, something that is false that has been set up by the mind. But what happens is that fear creates tensions within us, and tension within our physical body, within our psychic body, is going to act as a block. Another block is anxiety, or even just plain being overeager or overzealous. Now, you might think that being eager is a good thing, but the problem with that actually is that this overzealousness, overeagerness, actually is a very active energy, and it creates a block to your receptive mind, to your receptive self. So it's allowing yourself to be able to achieve the right state of mind in order to be able to tune in and develop your psychic abilities. So anxiety is the same way. If you are really very, very highly strung, it's going to impede your own development. Now, just a little bit of a sort of a conundrum regarding anxiety is that anxiety really is, I believe, oftentimes people being highly sensitive, and it creates an anxiety. But what that is that the nervous system is just really very high strung and becomes entrenched in that being high strung feeling. It results in a flight or fight sort of state, and that is just going to act as a block. You're not going to be able to access the subconscious mind and the spiritual senses. Now, the good thing is that all of these blocks can be dissolved, and we have to remember that it's dissolving them. It's not fighting against them. It's rendering them neutral with the knowledge and understanding, and you can work on them one by one. Disbelief is going to just really drain you of any desire to try, and it must be dissolved with a certain amount of enthusiasm that is necessary for success. So it's not a matter of forcing it, but rather replacing it with a more positive, higher energy, one that is expectant of success. There is a great science in parapsychology that is continuing to grow and it gives a lot of actual credence to ESP. And so I'm going to just assume your own acceptance for ESP and psychic development. And just for a moment, I want to consider the religious aspect. Now, I don't want anyone getting all turned off because I've mentioned religion, but Jesus, the Master, he was a great worker of psychic and ESP ability. By many people, he is considered one of the greatest mediums that have walked the earth. And in John 14:12, he says, He that believeth on me, the works that I shall do, he shall do also, and greater works than these shall he do. So what is Jesus talking about? What are these works? And again, Jesus, the Master, did a lot of demonstrations of extrasensory power. And there's hundreds of examples of the Master's highly developed ESP in the four Gospels. So in Matthew 17:27, now bear with me because I don't want you thinking I'm getting all religiously on you, but this is a great example of clairvoyance and of materialization of the physical substance. And that's really just what Jesus was doing when he manifested these things. People may call it magic, and people may think the Bible is just a bunch of made-up stories, but this is examples of materialization of a physical substance. So again, in Matthew 17:27, it says, Notwithstanding, lest we should offend them, go thou to the sea, and cast a hook, and take up the first fish that cometh. And when thou hast opened his mouth, thou shalt find a piece of money. That take and give unto them for me and thee. Now, this particular example is an example of accounts of Jesus' regular demonstrations that he had this extrasensory power. And what's important to remember is that he did not state that he was the only great exception. In fact, Jesus spoke that he is an example that all people can achieve. And I think that that's something that should really be reflected upon. So in rereading some of the Gospels and the examples of this psychic powers, just rest assured that you too have this ability, and it's a matter of learning to unfold it, learning how to tap into it, and letting all doubt and disbelief dissolve in the light of your understanding. And remember that having fear blocks will drive your results away, just the same as doubt will. It will drive results away. And sometimes even when we get this demonstration from the universe of our psychic abilities, we may have an overwhelming sense of fear of the power of the unknown. And that fear in itself will drive away any other further demonstrations or manifestations of psychic abilities and ESP phenomenon. And I admit myself that during some of my own psychic and mediumship experiences that I would be outright afraid. I would have the hair on my body standing up on end and absolute alarm bells traveling up and down my body when I'd have some of these experiences. But knowledge, learning, and understanding and experience will dissolve these fears and subsequent blocks. And it's important to remember that there is really nothing to fear, that you are protected in the light of God, surrounded by the light of God, and that nothing bad may come to you and nothing bad may come from you. And if you are surrounding yourself in the light of God, and if you are affirming this truth, then so it will be. Another thing that creates blocks is that we really do want it all now, with absolutely no further work or waiting. And what that does, it creates tensions and wanting it and trying too hard. And that is going to be destructive to your psychic development. When you get tense, when you notice that, really be mindful and relax immediately. And you can do that just with simple breathing exercises. So just by inhaling through your nose and drawing in your breath into your lungs and holding your breath while counting, and then slowly exhaling through your nose and emptying your lungs, that is going to relax you physically and also relax you mentally. Now remember, you already have psychic ability. It's just a matter of learning to recognize your psychic ability and developing it and trusting it. And so if you continue to work with recognizing your own psychic ability, it will grow. And really develop concentration and mind focus with meditation and with using your intention to be mindful throughout the day. Remember to practice just basic exercises that I give you on my channel or that you may see elsewhere to develop your psychic centers. When we're able to replace fear with understanding and knowledge and experience, it becomes much easier to grow and develop your psychic abilities. Understanding that we all want it now with absolutely no further work or waiting, but remember that that causes you to tense up. Have fun with it. Don't try too hard. As you allow yourself to have fun, it's going to relax you naturally. Because when you get tense, that is going to impede the flow of your psychic abilities. So remember just to relax with some simple breathing exercises. Breathing in through your nose and slowly filling in your lungs to capacity and exhaling. Remember that success in anything that is worthwhile takes a great deal of effort and must be applied in a regular manner in order to be successful. We don't become masters in a day, and it's important to remember that with your psychic development. Each time, every single moment that you spend practicing and becoming aware of your psychic abilities, it will increase and reward you for all of your endeavors. So remembering these simple points for developing your psychic ability, and the most significant one, is to be aware that you already have psychic abilities, and then allowing yourself to become aware of them, because the two are different aspects. But in becoming aware of and recognizing your psychic abilities and acknowledging them each time something comes into your awareness, each time your intuition, your psychic abilities are working, just acknowledge that. That will create pathways that are stronger. It's like flexing a muscle. So it will create pathways and changes within your nervous system, and it will make them stronger. Remember to have this relaxed sense of awareness to yourself so that you're not tense. Be mindful that man is spirit expressing themselves through a soul which uses a physical body. Keeping that in the forefront of your mind will also help you in developing your psychic abilities, because you are spirit, which is divine. And being ever mindful of the blocks that you do have with respect to your psychic development. And so with all development, it requires to be able to take an honest look at yourself, to take that inventory, personal inventory. So be mindful of what blocks you have. Take that personal inventory to recognize where some of your barriers may be so that you may dissolve them. I thank you very much for listening. Once again, my name is Lorraine Appleyard. If you have liked this, please do give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And remember, sharing is caring. I look forward to reading any of the comments that you may have. You place them down below. And if you give any comments that may give ideas for further content, please don't hesitate to do so. I wish you all very many blessings, and may you walk with spirit. Bye for now.